Welcome back to the Nose Plays. Today I thought I would pick up an old game that I've had for quite some time now. I've kind of fallen in love with it again, and just in time actually, because there is some brand new DLC that's coming out for this game. If you haven't already guessed, that game is Darkest Dungeon. And I recently started a new Radiant campaign. I hadn't played it in a while. They've patched it up, they've added some content to it. I don't currently have any of the DLC. I kind of fell out of favor with this game for a while, but I've recently picked it back up, and I'm considering buying some of the DLC. I want to wait and see what this newest DLC looks like before I make any purchases. But that being said, I am 8 weeks into a Radiant campaign. This is the Darkest Nose Estate, and we're just going to play a one-off today. I do fully plan to pick back up my game of Endless Space, and I have some other things that I'm interested in maybe putting on the channel and dedicating a little more time to now that I have a little bit more time as summer has arrived. And so we'll be doing some new stuff here in the future. But for now, let's go ahead and get started today. I don't have any plans specifically. I just jumped in. I had a really good raid with some low-level characters last week in the game. And so let's see what we have in store for us this week. So as you can see, I've spent almost all of my time in the ruins thus far. Maybe it's time to branch out of the ruins. Ooh. I was almost really excited. That's a really interesting item. 50% healing skills is pretty strong. However, the Antiquarian's healing is pretty pathetic. So, the Antiquarian is not typically someone you would bring as a healer. Maybe as a backup healer, but not as primary healer. We don't want to be running any boss quests right now. We're still in the early stages of the game. We definitely could try, but I think it would be unwise at this point. What I'm really looking for right now is any quest that offers me deeds. So if you're not familiar with the way this game works, one of the things that you collect throughout the game are these heirlooms, and there are 4 different kinds of heirlooms. You use different sorts of heirlooms to upgrade your town, which gives you access to new buildings, new things, and all of which make your heroes more combat effective, so to speak. So this mission right here is probably the one we're going to take. It's a short apprentice level mission. Not going to give us a lot. That's actually not a bad item for the Highwayman. Not a great item, but no negative traits on that item that I can see. I do see one. Never mind. Minus 5% stress healed. I thought that was minus 5% stress. So stress heals will be less effective on the Highwayman. That's not that big a deal. The dodge and the trap disarm are okay. They're not great. So we're not really doing this quest for the Drifter's Buckler. We're doing it for the deeds. We need more deeds. We need lots of deeds right now, and this is going to be the best way to get them. So one thing I haven't done this week is looked at my new set of heroes. So now we've kind of identified the quest that we're going to do, we need to check out the stagecoach. And the stagecoach is one of the very first buildings that you really want to pour some heirlooms into to get going. Right now you can see I need 20 and 16 deeds for either of the next 2 upgrades, and I'm sitting at 2. So we are definitely deed starved at the moment. I already have a full roster at the moment. I'm not really looking for anything in particular, just primarily really good quirks. So anybody that has exceptional quirks, negative quirks I don't really care much about because we have a means to deal with those. But the positive quirks are hard to acquire. specifically the best positive quirks. And if you can find heroes that have positive quirks that are really good for that hero class, it's a great idea to pick them up and lock them in early. You can lock these in permanently, otherwise they kind of rotate in and out as you play the game. And locking them, the best ones, in permanently is a great way to make your varsity team, your A team, your best group of heroes exceptional. So I don't Explorer. I mean, that's not terrible, but they're not anything that I would lock in. We might pick her up just to run her through a dungeon. Antiquarians are really good for collecting cash. Plus 10 stress heal, plus 10 scouting chance in the ruins. Let's sort by class. And how many Vestals do I have? I have 3 Vestals currently. Vestals are one of the best classes in the game, but primarily because they're one of the very few true healer classes, and healing is a pretty important part of the game. In order to pick up this Vestal, I'm going to have to drop somebody else. You know what? I'm not super excited about her. And this compulsive thing is really annoying. I could potentially get rid of it, but I think you're just gonna go bye-bye so we can pick up this other Vestal.
Suffer not the lame horse, nor the broken man.
Cove Adventure, Beast Slayer, but extra stress against beasts. Nah. We only have 1. I'm not sure who else I would get rid of. I think one of these Houndmasters was really bad. Yeah, this one's not particularly good. Houndmasters are a really, really, really exceptional class, but we could definitely use that Antiquarian. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna ditch this guy.
Those without the stomach for this place must move on.
Pick up the Antiquarian, and we're gonna run a dungeon focusing on loot. Okay. So we've got our first party member picked out. Since it's a short dungeon, yeah, she's not very good. I probably should have dropped her instead of the Houndmaster, but you can tell this guy's been on quite a few adventures already. Cove Explorer, Precise Striker, Robust. He has some pretty good positive quirks, nothing fantastic. Slow Reflexes is terrible. Yeah, some of these aren't that bad, but Slow Reflexes is really bad. Plague Doctor in the Cove. I like the Plague Doctor in the Cove. He might be a little too high level for this, though. We'll see. Alright, so we've got 2. Now we need to kind of put together a front line. The Leper's not a bad front lineman. And we could take one of our 2 Hellions. We have 2 secondary healers. Somebody with a good... another Man-at-Arms, maybe? Oh, he's a Cove Explorer. Yeah, let's take him. Alright. Crush, Retribution. These two abilities kind of suck. I don't want to put a lot of points into him. So one of the things about Darkest Dungeon that you need to understand, especially in the early game, is that heroes are expendable. A lot of times, because heroes are free to collect from the stagecoach every single week, what you're going to do is you're going to build a party from fresh heroes, you're going to run a dungeon, you're hopefully going to make a bunch of money, and then if the heroes get beat up, get all kinds of negative quirks, get whatever, you're going to get rid of them. You're not going to put a lot of money into them, you're just going to get rid of them, and then the next group of similarly leveled heroes will come through the next week that you can then recruit and try again. And that's how you really build up your resources in the early parts of the game. So we're not going to... I just want to make sure that, for the most part, they have abilities that are helpful. So we have 3 heals, no great healer, but we do have this guard ability, which we can use a nice combo between the Man-at-Arms and the Antiquarian. So that's pretty useful. I like this party. I think we're good to go. Now let's take a look at trinkets. Are there any trinkets that we want to equip on anybody? Yes, so the Cove tends to have a fair amount of Eldritch, I believe. So an Eldritch Ring on this guy is going to give him a nice chunk of extra damage. Plus 8 accuracy is incredibly important on the lepers. They have a terrible accuracy, so giving any kind of accuracy trinkets are usually a good idea. We have a lot of Cove benefits. Cove Scourger, that's going to help us a lot. Man-at-Arms, anything with protection to absorb some damage, extra health maybe. Debuff. Nope. Okay. What about... Yes, we need the bonuses to Blight. So anything that gives extra Blight will be good on this guy. I need somebody with no dodge. Yeah, you don't have any dodge. Okay, we're not going to be able to use this today. So, things that have a minus dodge, any trinket that has minus dodge as a negative trait, if you put it on a hero that has 0 dodge, you actually don't lose any combat effectiveness. And so that's what I was looking for, is one of our heroes that might have 0 dodge. But we're actually going to stack some dodge on this Antiquarian and make her really hard to hit. Antiquarians are incredibly poor fighters. They're not very good in combat at all. They have one job and one job only, and that is bring back lots of extra loot. So we'll talk a little bit about that when we get into this. I'm considering this for the minus 10% stress and the accuracy. It does lower our dodge significantly, but I think we're going to be fine with the guard ability, allowing us not to be targeted too frequently, especially when we're in trouble. So I think that's probably good for trinkets. Let's go ahead and provision up. And the Cove. So even on a short run in the Cove, there tends to be a lot of things that require the shovel. So we're going to take some shovels. I'm going to go ahead and take 12 food. We don't have a log for camping because this is a short run. And I'm going to take 4 bandages, a couple of those, 2 keys, 8 torches. We'll take 4 of those as well to help with stress, and a couple of anti-venom just in case. I think this is pretty good. And we're off. So you're about to be introduced to the narrator of the game if you've never seen the game before. He is an exceptional part of it, and I will introduce him to you now.
These salt-soaked caverns are teeming with pelagic nightmares. They must be flushed out.
So the narrator was actually a what do you call that? An audiobook voice actor. He had read some audiobooks that the developers had listened to, and they fell in love with his voice. They added him to the game. He provides a really, really interesting atmosphere to the game. One of the best parts of the game by far. So there's some really cool interviews with various YouTubers who have interviewed him, and he's a pretty cool guy. His name's Wayne June. I just recently watched, it's an older interview, but Sinvictus on his YouTube channel did an interview with Wayne June. It was pretty cool. If you're interested in the game, or if you like the narrator, definitely check that video out. It's pretty neat. I mentioned shovels. We start with an obstacle right in front of us, and so there's a lot of this stuff in the cove where shovels are going to be useful.
Another mariner?
Even on a short...
Another misfortune.
Even on a short quest here. So we got to complete 100% of room battles. That shouldn't be too difficult. Okay. A lot of times you're going to encounter these things in the background. They're called curios, or curiosities. And sometimes your heroes will compulsively grab them when you don't want them to. Other times you can interact with them by choice. Using some of these items will change or give you better odds of a better interaction with them. All of these things typically have like a chance for a positive or a negative interaction, and so you definitely want to use these items when you can. But when these heroes act on their own due to their quirks, like this guy just did, so he's obsessed with sainthood. That's probably why he grabbed that. I didn't quite read what he said, but that's what was going on there. Luckily, he got a new positive quirk. He got Clutch Hitter, which gives him extra crit chance when his hit points fall below 50%. Crit is not really that useful of a stat on the Plague Doctor in terms of damage, but crit is always beneficial in terms of stress relief. And so we got this cool little plus 15% virtue chance because of the previous quest that we completed. Town event. Keeping your torch lit brighter will give you different effects in the game. So maximum torch light is preferred by me. Lower torch light does provide some bonuses, but it also provides a lot of negatives. And it makes running the dungeon a lot more dangerous than it could be. Alright, so our first battle. Very nice dodge. No dodge there. We're going to probably get stunned. Yep. Okay. So as you can see, it's kind of a turn-based Final Fantasy style combat system with a couple of unique features. One unique feature is this positioning. So every combat, there are 4 positions by each party. Position 1, 2, 3, and 4, and position 1, 2, 3, and 4. Depending on what position you're in will determine on who you can target, as well as what abilities you might be able to use. So because we're in the 3rd position, you can see by the little dots that are highlighted in white and red which positions I must be in to use this ability and which positions I can target. So the most important thing to deal with in most enemy parties are their backline. The backline characters are typically the most dangerous, and so we want to go ahead and put a poison dot on both of these guys if we can. Perfect. And what this is going to do is every time they act for the next 3 turns, they're going to take some damage, which is pretty good. This thing is particularly dangerous because it can stun my heroes, like it did with the Antiquarian there. So I'm going to actually miss or lose out on her action, and so we want to get rid of this guy relatively quickly. Now, one of the problems that we have is you can see my accuracy on this leper is really bad, and so one thing that you can do to improve your odds of hitting something is use Hew. It'll do less damage per enemy, but you have a better chance of at least hitting something. We got lucky and hit both. So this is within killing distance now. That's pretty good. Okay, we got a bleed put on us. I could use one of our bandages, but we have a lot of hit points, and our Plague Doctor actually has an ability that can remove bleeds, so we're going to try and hold out for that. What I am going to do, though, is I am going to go ahead and activate my Riposte ability. What this does is it provides the Man-at-Arms a counterattack whenever he gets attacked by an enemy. And so,
confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
We can get rid of that creature, which we did. And we had some other effects trigger. I saw that counterattack. Very effective. So this guy is now officially dead. He has 1 hit point left, and when he triggers his next action, he'll immediately take the 4 damage from the Blight, and that will kill him. So we don't have to worry about that guy anymore. You also saw Kurt when, or not Kurt, what is this guy's name? Rosell. Rosell, you saw Rosell when he attacked this creature. He killed it with his riposte, but he also triggered a little halo above his head that reduced his stress. And stress is an important thing that you got to keep track of in the game. Too much of it will provide a really negative penalty to your hero, and if you get a massive amount of it, it'll actually give your hero a heart attack and kill them outright. Instant death. So, bad news. We're currently using the Plague Doctor. We got a good roll for our speed, so we're going to go ahead and wipe out that bleed. And now we have a chance to use the Antiquarian in an effective manner. So remember, anybody that targets our Man-at-Arms here will get that counterattack. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the guard ability on the Man-at-Arms. And that means that anybody who ends up attacking my Antiquarian is actually going to attack the Man-at-Arms instead for a couple of turns, which is pretty cool. Alright, so we don't have a lot that we need to do. I'm going to go ahead and use my Withstand ability on my Leper. This is going to give him damage reduction for the remainder of the battle, but it's also going to give me a little bit of a stress heal, which is important. We want to get that stress down a little bit before we move on. Our Riposte is active for 1 more turn, which means we have a couple of different things we can do. I think what we want to do is go ahead and buff our speed and our dodge, so we're more likely to perform actions ahead of the enemy next turn. That means all of my guys should get to act before theirs. Now this guy has 6 hit points left. He's going to take 4 damage this next round when he takes his action, and then another 4 the round after that. So he's officially dead. But if I can stun him or apply another blight to him, he'll die this turn.
Formation is broken.
So we did. We got the blight, so now he's going to take 8 damage, so he will die for sure once this action triggers right here. Okay, we don't have to kill this guy right away, so we should take some time to heal ourselves up a little bit if we can. Actually, I don't need to heal. But I can use this ability again and drop some more stress. So that's good. Now we're down to 14. We could trigger Riposte, but I think we might as well just smash this guy in the face.
Pummeling.
Since our Man-at-Arms doesn't have any abilities for healing or anything like that. We can go Healing Vapors or Flash Powder. Flash Powder is not very useful. Provides a -5 accuracy debuff. But we can go ahead and throw the heal on the man-at-arms.
The slow death. Unforeseen. Unforgiving.
Yeah, that extra protection really reduced the amount of damage that he took from that. Our Plague Doctor should act before this guy does, so we should be fine. I'm just going to go ahead and throw another heal down. And we can use that to remove the bleed. And then another smash to the face.
As the fiend falls,
And the first battle is
faint
ours.
hope blossoms.
Okay, we got some cool stuff here. 2 trinkets already. This is a Houndmaster only trinket and a Vestal only trinket. Unfortunately, we didn't bring either of those. Some good loot. And these are special items that only drop when you're playing with the Antiquarian. They have a very high stacking number, and so you can make a lot of money by collecting a bunch of those. So that's what we're looking for. We want to be rich by the time we leave this particular dungeon. Grab that torch. And a pack.
A handsome reward for a task well performed.
Go ahead and eat that food. I don't really collect the journals. The journals are interesting. They're just little snippets of lore that you can collect and put in a big book and read whenever you want. Alright, so double shockers is kind of scary because they have the chance to stun half my party every turn. Like that. Which is really annoying.
Inspiration and improvement.
So we're going to go ahead and hew these guys and try to kill them as fast as possible. And that was a double dodge. That's unfortunate. He buffed this one with extra damage, so we want to kill it first.
Back to the pit.
Nice crit. Anytime you get a critical hit, you'll restore a little bit of your stress. So that's why crit chance is important. But you can see this guy's really dangerous at building up stress. So we definitely want to get rid of him as fast as possible. I'm going to go ahead and throw a dodge buff on all my heroes, and hopefully we'll be able to avoid some of these stuns. Gonna have to drop the bleed from ourselves. Let's see if we can crit. Oh wow!
Executed with
2 crits in a
impunity.
row. Very nice. Alright, we don't have a stun or anything like that, and since this is a single target,
Destroyed.
we'll go with the single target attack, which worked out quite well for
Seize
us.
this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Okay, so as you can see, now that my light is a little bit lower, I don't have quite as much bonus to my dodge, my scouting, or monster surprise, but I have an negative increase to my stress. So each time you walk through the dungeon, there's a chance for these guys to get a little stressed out, because it's kind of creepy down there. And that amount of stress is more frequent and higher when your light gets lower. So we're going to go ahead and freshen up the torch there a little bit, and now you can see we have extra bonuses to dodge, scouting, and to monster surprise. I like to do this pretty much every time I enter a new room, make sure my torch is topped off, just to keep things safe. Alright, no enemy, but we did get a scout, which is really important. So scouting is a super duper important thing, very underrated, but a very, very important part of the game. Whenever you scout things, sorry about that. Whenever you scout things, monster battles that are detected by a scout are unable to surprise your party, and getting surprised is one of the worst ways to lose a party or to lose a dungeon. Surprised attacks can cause all kinds of havoc, and so you want to avoid those whenever possible. So that's why I particularly looked for people with lots of this Cove Explorer trait. This guy has Cove Explorer, so we have lots of scouting chance. 3 of them have Cove Explorer, and he has Cove Scrounger. So pretty much everybody has extra scouting. So we should be able to scout this whole map and not have to worry about getting surprised, which would be really nice. There's a battle here and 3 battles this direction. We're probably going to go ahead and try to clear the whole floor. But we want to see who has the best disarm chance. It looks like it's the Plague Doctor. So go ahead and disarm that trap. That's the other nice thing about... I can't remember what you use with coral. I'm going to go with bandages. Nope. So one of the nice things they added to the game, I don't think this was originally part, is when you interact with items, you can use all your different things. And when you put something on here that doesn't work, it will remind you that that didn't work for future tries. I don't think any of these things are the item I need, if there even is one. You can look all these things up in tables that people have figured out, but I think we're going to go ahead and just search with him. Okay, nothing there. And this is a room battle with the treasure chest. Alright. So because our torchlight is high, we have a pretty good chance to surprise the enemies, which is fantastic and something we definitely want to do frequently. We're going to go ahead and apply the blight here. Got a good roll on that. We're going to immediately activate this on our man-at-arms. Of these 2 characters, this one is way more dangerous in terms of damage. This guy's more of a tank, and he kind of protects his other party members. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to eliminate this guy as quickly as possible. We have a pretty good chance to hit, and we can do 10 to 19 damage, so we could potentially kill this guy, definitely if we get a crit. Alright, so he's 1 hit away from going down. If we get a lucky hit with Retribution, we might be able to take him down. So I think we're going to go ahead and go for that. This ability will only do 2 to 3 damage, but it does have almost a 4% chance to crit. So, alright, no dice. That is not cool. I guess it's better than having him do something like that to our heroes. Alright. Okay, so he did a protection on this guy very similarly to what we did with our Antiquarian. This is why the Blight is really powerful, because now that it's on there, it can't fall off, and so he's going to die next round no matter what he does. She, however, definitely needs to take some more damage. She is officially dead with 4 damage Blight over 2 rounds, but I don't really want to take the stress damage from her if I can help it. So what I would like to do is maybe throw a blinding grenade and try to get a stun on her so that she will die before she gets to act. And it worked. So this turn she won't get to act. Next turn the Blight will kill her before she gets to do anything. So she's done for. Because this guy is pretty low health at 5 hit points, I'm going to go ahead and try Hew, which does a minimum of 6 damage, so we should be able to kill him if we hit, but we'll also throw some extra damage onto the other enemy.
Continue the onslaught.
That worked out pretty well.
Destroy them all.
Alright, what do we need to do here? She still has the guard for 1 more round, so we can either heal or we can throw down a dodge. I don't think we really need the dodge, because both of these characters are dead this turn, and he's the only one left. He's not that big of a threat, so I'm going to go ahead and throw some healing down.
The flesh is knit.
That worked out pretty well. We still have Riposte for 1 more turn. So maybe we go ahead and use him to throw down some extra dodge and speed. Give us all a chance to act before this guy gets to go. And just slowly whittle this guy away over a couple of turns. We can throw a blight on him.
Slowly,
Blights are really good on
gently.
enemies with high protection.
This is how a life is taken.
So the damage reduction does not trigger on the blight, so he'll take full damage from the blight, which is good. We're just going to continue to heal up. Nice crit. And because she's dead, when she acts, we don't need to worry about her. So I can either heal myself or stress heal. We're going to stress heal. We don't have a lot of stress, but we might as well get rid of it. And also the
Great is the
protection,
weapon that cuts
if I
on
do
its
get it
own.
targeted, which I did, will be nice and low. 2 points of damage. The bleed's kind of annoying, but... Alright, so he's got 14 health. That takes him down to 8 with 2 rounds of blight. So that's perfect. We're going to go ahead and remove the bleed. We're going to heal Man-at-Arms a little bit. I'm going to go with the self-heal.
The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden.
And we'll throw down the dodge and hopefully not take any damage, because I think the blight's going to kill this guy now. Yep. Nice dodge. Gives us one more turn of healing. We'll throw it on you. Another crit heal. Good stuff. We don't need to do any of those, so we'll just do the dodge again. And there he goes. So one of the things about this game that's different than a lot of games is there's this element in combat where one of the ways that you can play is you take out all the dangerous enemies and you leave behind one of the weaker enemies, and you basically take a couple of turns to heal your party up. This works pretty well with a few exceptions. The big exception is if you take too many turns, you'll start to take extra stress and reinforcements can come in. But as long as the hero or the enemy dies within, I believe, 3 turns after being, so 3 turns where they're the only enemy left, you don't have any of those things trigger. And the blight is a real key part of that. If you apply a blight that would kill an enemy, it doesn't actually trigger the extra stress. So that's pretty cool. So we did that pretty efficiently. We're going to go ahead and take everything we can here. We're going to have to drop some stuff. That's a really good item for the Houndmaster. 25% extra stun chances. One of his key roles is stunning enemies. The Virtue Chance on the Chalice with lower hit points is not all that good. We could drop that, but I'm more like... I believe this is worth more... No, this isn't even an uncommon. It's a common item. We'll go ahead and drop the Chalice. This is a rare antique. These only drop when you bring an antiquarian, and they are worth a lot of gold. So we're going to take that. And then the portraits are really, really good. We need some portraits for sure. The thing I like about portraits is you can trade them in pretty efficiently to get deeds or busts or crests. Any of the other items, portraits trade really, really well for. Not so much the other way around. So we'll go ahead and drop this Jade Stone. It's worth a little bit of gold, but hopefully... And one of the things that I have not been doing that I need to be doing, I totally goofed this whole run because of this, really. Well, not the whole run, but the Antiquarian needs to open all of the chests. Every time they open the chest, they have a chance at getting more loot. This is why you bring them. When you forget to do that, it kind of defeats the purpose of bringing them. We're going to use a key. And... okay, so nothing all that too exciting. Another Jade we can't take. So we'll just move right along. Alright, so we've scouted the entire map at this point. definitely want him disarming traps with an 80% roll. And I definitely should have... I guess I really didn't need to light my torch for that because there's no enemies here. If there's enemies in a room, you definitely want to brighten your torch before you go in, because you have a chance to surprise them is greater, and their chance to surprise you is non-existent or very slim. We got to go back over here and take on these battles, grab these curios. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so that's one of our quirks triggering. So he has the curious quirk, so he's going to periodically search things that he probably shouldn't be searching. And here's another item that we can use a shovel on, I believe. This is an old treasure chest that's covered in barnacles. Using a shovel, and I did it again. Good night. So I really need to have her highlighted while we're walking around here. Let's just say I know more about the game than I tend to embody when I play. Okay, so we've got an interesting combination of enemies here. This guy's pretty dangerous. This guy puts out a lot of stress. This is our stunner. And I forget what this thing does. Oh, this thing just has a massive amount of protection. 75% damage reduction. He doesn't have a ton of hit points, though, so, and he's really slow. Okay, I think the most important thing to do here is to get the guard on the man-at-arms, so that we can then use the riposte ability more effectively. Also, we need to get the blight back here for these guys. And unfortunately, we're not going to get a riposte this turn. Ooh. So as you can see, he's pretty dangerous. He does have 8 more points of damage, but that's not going to kill him, so we got to hit him at least one more time. Oh, what do we do here? I think we're going to go with the chance to take this thing out so he can't stun us anymore. And swing and a miss. This is why a lot of people dislike the Leper. Good dodge by our Plague Doctor there. The stun on the Antiquarian isn't that scary because she's the least combat effective. That was quite bothersome. But, once again, by not hitting us with a nasty ability, we can hopefully stun those guys and take away their actions this turn, or next turn. Alright, we're going to try this again. Choppity chop chop, and this time we're successful. Perfect.
Cleansed from our lands.
Go ahead and hit the riposte on Mr. Fish. Alright, that should put him at lethal. 3 hit points with a 4-point blight. 7 hit points with a 4-point blight is not lethal. But what would be lethal is 8. And that's going to put it up to 8, so we are in a good position now to basically just do some stress healing and healing off of this thing. Let's go ahead and throw a heal out on the Plague Doctor.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
And we'll do a stress heal, gain the protection, gain the mark, so if this attacks us, we won't take very much damage. Go ahead and grab some extra dodge and speed, so we act first.
A brilliant confluence of skill and purpose.
Yeah. Lots of dodge debuff. We don't have a lot of dodge anyways, so that's not that big a deal for us. he is dead when he acts. We don't need to worry about him anymore, but we can go ahead and apply a blight on this, which will be pretty effective at getting rid of him over a couple of turns. And go ahead and throw another heal out. And let's just keep buffing our speed and our dodge. So now we're up to +10 and +4. That's pretty high. We don't need to stress heal anymore. I don't think we even have any stress, so we'll just do regular heal. Alright.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled.
4
They can be
crests.
beaten.
I don't believe it said there was a treasure, but there might be a key. We can use the medicine herbs to drop the debuff and throw away the other ones. And grab that. This room has a fight. We definitely don't want to go into this room with monsters getting bonus to accuracy and damage and a chance to be surprised. So before we enter the room, we're going to light up our torches, get us back up to Radiant, and now we'll go in. That gave us the surprise. Very, very good for us. So we'll get the Plague Grenade going on those two. And do we want to go ahead and give everybody a dodge buff? I think, yeah, let's go ahead and give our whole party a dodge buff. 15 and 14. These are both pretty dangerous. Let's just go with a Hue and try to... Nice, Hue. Oh, that was really good. Okay, we should be able to get our Riposte on. Riposte is going to kill this guy for sure. And we'll hopefully trigger if we get targeted by him and kill that one as well. That was a pretty nasty hit. Ugh, and a crit. Once again, this is why we want to get rid of those guys quickly. They're dangerous in terms of the damage they can put out. Notice our Man-at-Arms stress level's getting pretty high. If it breaks 100, we'll have to make a check and see if we go a little bit crazy, which would be bad for us. We're going to go ahead and try... Well, let's see. These guys... If we can land the Blight Grenade again... We don't need to land it again. We can land the stun and do just as well. So she's dead in 2 turns. She's not going to get act. We're going to go ahead and just try and out-dodge this Spear Fisherman. Do I want to throw the heal out? Yeah, let's go ahead and heal our Plague Doctor. See if we can't get his health up a little bit for these last couple of battles. We'll go ahead and throw the protection buff on him. Drop that stress back down. He is going to be 1 hit point away from dying. Double that up. 50% protection now. And so one of the things that is interesting is after you stun an enemy, a lot of times they'll get a stun bonus resistance for 1 round, so you can't chain stun enemies forever. You can. It just becomes less and less likely because of this buff to their resistance. It's only for 1 turn though, so it does ensure that most enemies will get to act after they're stunned, but it's not a guarantee, so we could potentially stun these guys again. We don't really need to though. What we're going to do instead is just throw down our heal and hope that Spear Fisherman attacks one of these guys. I could throw some more dodge out there, or I could throw another heal down. I think we're going to just try and heal and hope for a bad roll by the enemy. Okay, he's going to attack the Antiquarian, and a good dodge. Her dodge is pretty high, especially with all these buffs. And so there's nothing that we need to... Oh, we do need to do something to kill this guy. Do I want to just kill him now, or do I want to try to get one more turn of healing in? I think we want to get one more turn of healing in, so we're going to go with the speed and the dodge. This will ensure that we might get all of our actions first, and will give me a chance to throw some heals out. They're not very big, but we don't have a dedicated healer, so that's to be expected. He is all healed up. There's really not much for him to do. I guess we'll try to clear these. He's less dangerous in the front row, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and try to take him out now before he gets to act. That worked out okay.
Triumphant pride precipitates
we can eat
a
this
dizzying
extra food.
fall.
And we've completed all the room battles, but we're going to go ahead and do a little bit more questing since we have extra resources here. I'm going to go ahead and heal him up. And that's probably okay. We'll go ahead and light
The
another
way
torch.
is lit. The path is clear.
And we've got
We require
2 more
only the strength
curios
to follow
and
it.
2 more battles. This one, I believe, takes the herbs which we threw away. So we're just going to have the antiquarian stick her hand in there and see if she finds anything. And she did not. We can go ahead and take care of the bleed with that. We got a fight just ahead of us. And we want to save the rest of that food in case we get another hunger roll. Alright, that's unfortunate. Let's go ahead and put a guard on him. If we can stun that guy, that would be good. Okay, that bleed is stacked to 2 now. He can smash that in the face this turn. Go ahead and cue those guys. Alright, how many hit points do you have left? 4? So if we can land the plague grenade on him, he'll be dead before he acts. I can throw out a heal or a dodge. I think the dodge will prevent more damage potentially than the heal will heal, so let's just go ahead and throw the dodge out there and hope we get a lucky
The
roll.
blood quickens.
There we go. And another one. Ah, no luck. Okay, we definitely... I mean, we could hew and probably kill all of these guys. I've got the last action in this round, and I think we're going to move ahead of these guys for the most part, so I'm going to go ahead and throw down my heal. And we're going to go ahead and activate Riposte and see if we can't get into that guy. Ah, unlucky. Okay, what can we do here? A dodge or a heal? I'd say let's stack some more dodge. Dodge. Nope. But the riposte will take him out. We can remove the bleed. And probably just smash this guy and try to take him down. Ooh, a whiff. Alright, so we can heal again. Alright, and that's that.
Foolish horrors. Brought low and driven into the mud.
Okay, we definitely want the deeds. drop the key to take the deeds. We can drop the anti-venom to take the trinket. And we'll leave the holy water. We don't really need to finish. Okay. We're just going to march back to that last curio and battle. And hopefully we won't roll any more random enemy spawns. Occasionally when you're walking around, you'll spawn new enemies in the hallways. But they tend to show up on the map when that happens, so... Alright, let's go ahead and burn a couple of torches.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
And clear this last hallway. I think we kept that for food. Alright, that made him very dangerous. Good dodge. For a character that has almost no dodge. Our Man-at-Arms stress is getting pretty high. I kind of want to avoid him getting targeted, so I'm actually going to target the leper. And we'll go ahead and we're just going to try to burst this guy down with a couple of good attacks on him. I'm going to try to stun this guy for a turn. He resisted. That's unfortunate. And a big chop. All right.
Decimated.
So that buff that he applied to him was wasted. Oof. That is scary stuff. What does this guy have? He's Eldritch, he's Unholy, and he has Gargling Grab, which is a stress attack. Okay, well, let's go ahead and let's try and stun this guy again. There we go. Riposte or Crush? I think we're just going to try to focus him down. Between these two guys, we should be able to take him down.
Obliterated.
And because this guy is dangerous with the stress, we don't want to take any more stress. We're going to do the one thing that can help prevent that, and that is dodging his attacks when he does come out of his little thing. We can just throw him in here for no reason. We should be able to get within lethal pretty easily. There we go.
Annihilated.
Alright, so a little bit more gold. Nothing too exciting. And the last treasure of the dungeon, we're going to do something that I only do near the end of a dungeon typically.
The darkness
And that is put out our torch. You could put your torch out
death.
or reduce its light. And the reason you would want to do that is when you run dark dungeons with no light, you have a better chance at loot. So hopefully we're going to roll some good loot when we search this bag. A little bit better than we'd seen in some of the other ones. You can get really good loot rolls, particularly with the Antiquarian when you run no light, but it is incredibly dangerous. The amount of stress, the monster accuracy and damage, and the hero surprise chance are all really, really, really frustrating. So walking around this way is not preferable. But it is good at the end of a dungeon when you're going to grab the loot and run, which is what we're going to do.
The pungent odor abates. The things are driven back for a time.
Alright, so that's all the loot we got. Not bad for a short dungeon. We made 14,000 plus a little bit in the trinkets that we're going to sell. So 14,000 is definitely more than we came in with. and more than we spent on supplies by a good amount. Anything good? So one of the things that happens every time heroes run through the dungeon, they have a chance to roll both a positive and a negative quirk. Running heroes through dungeons is one way to do this. Collecting quirks is an important part of the game, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get back to town here. But plus 15% healing skills while camping. Plutomania, that's not good for us. That means he's probably going to steal money from us when he finds it. Eldritch Slayer's okay. Bonus accuracy and crit chance is fine on a character that attacks. This character actually had no attack ability, so this is pretty much a worthless trait on her.
I was lord of this place before the crows and rats made it their domain.
So you saw the little lights go down the hero list here. Every hero that's not in a building will actually tick a little bit of their stress down just for sitting around town. So all of our heroes lost a little bit of their stress if they had any accumulated, which is nice. The ones that go in buildings tend to lose more. You have several buildings that can reduce their stress. That's primarily what you're doing in town. But there's also this building, and this is one that's really important. So, for example, we have all of these traits, and we can get rid of any of these traits over here by paying some gold and locking our hero in a building for a week. We can't use them for that week, but when they come out, they will no longer have these negative traits, which is nice. That can get really expensive to do, however, so it's not something you want to do in the early game. However, on the flip side, these positive traits, you will collect up to 5 positive traits. And then, once you have your 5th positive trait, each time you go in the dungeon, if you encounter a curio or you finish the dungeon and you roll for another positive trait, it will actually replace one that you've already collected. So if you have a trait that you really, really like on a particular class of hero that finds that trait useful, what you can do is you can go into the treatment ward and you can lock it in so that it can't be replaced. It's permanent. And that's really, really handy. I've only done that once so far. So you can see right here, I actually picked this Arbalist up from the Stagecoach, and she had this ability, Unerring, plus 10% damage on ranged skills. So a bonus to damage is pretty useful on an Arbalist. They're primarily a damage dealing class, and they only have ranged attacks. So this is a really, really effective trait for her. I locked it in really early. It didn't cost me but a couple hundred gold. And so what we're going to try to do over time is we'll probably send her in to get rid of some of these more harmful negative traits, and we will hopefully collect some more positive ones. Second Wind, plus 10% damage if hit points are below 50% isn't great, but it's not bad. It's okay. If she does take a big attack from a crit, she'll do a little bit of extra damage for the next couple of combat rounds until I can get her healed up. So pretty cool. This is the bread and butter of the game, really. The devs have this saying. I've watched some of the videos on commentary on Darkest Dungeon from the devs, and one of the sayings that they constantly brought up, one of their visions for this game is it's about the sword arm and not the sword. It's an RPG where your characters, your heroes are really the focus and not so much the weapons, and so that's why you only get 2 trinket slots and your gear just kind of generically upgrades, but you have a lot more interaction with who the hero is and how you kit them out with abilities and whatnot. So but this is Darkest Dungeon. Again, this is just going to be a one-off video. I don't plan on continuing this series. However, I am interested in potentially bringing Darkest Dungeon to the channel in a more long-term sense. So if you would be interested in watching me play a run of Darkest Dungeon from the beginning, I'll probably do a Radiant run. I'd be willing to do that, but I want to hear from my viewers and see if they're interested in seeing that. There's a lot of Darkest Dungeon content already out there, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton more coming up with the new DLC being released. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you're interested in seeing that, let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, this has been The Nose Plays, and have a great day.